Igor, when we last spoke on Fridays, when we last spoke to you and Richard, there were air sirens going off. There was this sense that Russia was getting closer to Kyiv. As Richard reports, it's going to be, it is better fortified than perhaps anticipated, but that doesn't mean that Kyiv will be spared from tragedy or from indiscriminate attacks on civilians. Tell me how you're doing today.
Well, we're doing fine. I mean, it's getting more difficult because the sound of war is actually changing quite a lot. I mean, we used to have those missile strike once or twice a day, and it was loud, it was scary, but at the end of the day it was like twice a day, and that's it. Now we have to live to this constant rumble of artillery up in the distance, and it does have an effect because those really like low bass notes, you don't actually hear it, you just feel it with your entire body, and it keeps happening like nearly 24/7. So it's difficult. Plus, I mean, we're beginning to see indiscriminate strikes on Kyiv itself. But you know me, I mean, I can't go without a funny story. So one of the strikes actually hit a lingerie shop, women's undergarment shop in one of the malls in Kyiv. And apparently it's the second time that particular brand of Ukrainian, women's underwear was targeted by the Russians. So one begins to wonder what has Putin got against women's underwear. But
yeah, it sounds like a fetish.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's getting more difficult. But look, there's a good way for you to know whether Kyiv's been surrounded or not. I mean, I'm not going to tell you where I am, but when you see a different background behind me, that means, we left the house where we're at and moved somewhere else in Kyiv. And that means, the encirclement is complete. So we'll be the last ones to go geographically.
Igor, here it has been in some ways incomprehensible, certainly to me, and I think to a lot of Americans, that 16 days ago you were going about your life, your kids are going to school, and now you are a country at war. And policy decisions that the West makes hinge on whether or not they would put the world on a path to World War III. Some of the ways that I think people have understood how brutal and how completely life-changed in Ukraine are the images. And one of them was this woman who was carried out on a stretcher after Russians targeted a maternity and children's hospital in Mariupol. And we learned over the weekend here from the Associated Press that she had died, as had the child that she was pregnant with. I wonder if you can just speak to what you understand about the targeting and the suffering and what women and children are going through.
Well, look, the best way to describe it is that we actually have gray-haired 10-year-olds in Ukraine now, and that just shouldn't happen in the 21st century. But what's more important here, Russian propaganda was pushing this completely ridiculous and horrific story that an attack on the maternity ward in Mariupol was a Ukrainian fake, so that those were actresses playing their parts, and everything was staged, and apparently there were like Nazis in that maternity ward. And we know the truth now, and unfortunately this woman and her unborn child have passed away. And if there's anything good to come out of a tragedy like that, I really hope it changes the narrative of certain media outlets in the West. I mean, Tucker still hasn't called, and probably hasn't bought his plane tickets just yet, but look, another tragic story. First of all, I'd like to express my heartfelt condolences to the family of Brent Renaud, who sadly was killed by the Russian troops yesterday, an American correspondent. Mm-hmm. And today we've learned, like literally hours ago, that a Fox News correspondent is in the intensive care unit in Kyiv after being attacked by the Russian forces. So hopefully, I mean, after this, we won't see any more Russian propaganda being pushed in the West. And, I hope the narrative changes. And I hope, people realize that dignity is non-partisan. And, there are certain things more important in the world than money and, political power.
I mean, look, just the fact that you're aware of what Tucker is broadcasting is such an important reminder that the world is so small now because of the internet, because of all of these bizarre associations, and the Kremlin has certainly associated itself very closely with Tucker Carlson's broadcasts. I'm sure you've seen the news, if we've seen them, that his commentary airs in the loop on RT and on state media. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. I mean, the fact that one of their own journalists is right now in the intensive care unit at a hospital in Kyiv, it's your hope that they just stop with the lies and report the truth. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And look, I want to emphasize this point that, Russia, one of the things it uses really effectively against the world, especially against the free world, is information. I've spent many years studying Russian disinformation and the theory of disinformation. I can tell you that, look, nowadays, because of technology that we've kind of put out there, information does have physical, tangible effect on our lives. And, I think spreading, Russian propaganda and Russian disinformation in the free world is incredibly dangerous, especially given the fact that, now we have reason to believe that, unless Ukrainian army can actually push back on Russia and somehow settle this war within Ukraine's territory, we're getting dangerously close to potential global conflict. And, it should be avoided at all costs. I mean, it's 2022, it's not 1941.
I want to ask you about your president and his address to joint session of Congress on Thursday. You were his advisor. What should he say? What do you need to hear him say to the United States Congress?
Well, I've already relayed one of the messages. I mean, it's his prerogative to decide on what to say. But, I think for the Western audience, for the members of Congress, for the American people to realize that, this is the final battle between good and evil that determines the future, that determines how we're going to live and what world we're going to live in. It's important to realize there are things more important than partisan politics. There are things more important than fear and corporate greed. I've been trying to convince, for example, the Western business to leave Russia, at least temporarily. I mean, and look, God forbid it leads to World War III. Do your companies really want to be the sponsors of that? And, so I think, I think the whole world needs to unite and solve this crisis. Because if you carefully study what's happening in Russia and what their propaganda is saying, Ukraine is just a temporary step towards, a major global conflict against the West. And you're the enemy. We're not the enemy to him. Putin doesn't even recognize us as people. We're just something getting in the way. The real enemy here is NATO. The real enemy here is the United States. And, it's better to help us now. That could avoid this conflict than to be indecisive and then face the consequences that unfortunately will affect the lives of people not only in Ukraine, but globally.
When you assess what Putin has at his disposal, do you think that his military assets, his dumb bombs, his indiscriminate bombing of civilians, or his reliance on lies and propaganda to keep his power inside Russia, which do you think is more vital to him?
Well, it's all about staying in power. I think, look, it looks that Putin's lost complete touch with reality. I mean, he's out of touch with it. And, what's happening in Ukraine, I've been saying all along that, this conflict, this war doesn't have any ideology behind it. It's basically, an armed robbery on steroids. It's genocide on steroids. So for Putin, war is a way of uniting the Russian people who've been zombified for 22 years by his propaganda to stay in power and to control absolutely every aspect of the Russian life. And by the way, having mentioned that, I want to give a shout out to a brave Russian woman called Marina Ovsyannikova, who crashed the new primetime news on Russia's top TV channel today with an anti-war message.
That's a sign, right? She held up a sign?
Yeah, she held up a sign, and, we need those acts of bravery. We need for the Russian people to wake up and make themselves heard, because, they're going to be victims of this just like we are at the moment. And, we need to stop it. Another thing, I usually look. I have to give you something positive because today's been a difficult day. We have this anecdote making rounds, and I couldn't verify it, but there are pictures. So, I mean, you can look into it. One of the major tragedies we're facing at the moment is to do with abandoned pets. So when people flee, they can't always take their dogs and their cats with them. So they let them out, and they're starving to death, and it's absolutely horrible. So this woman in the northern Ukraine, she caught a husky. She saw a husky sad and slightly angry running in the fields. She chased it around. She caught it and she took it to the vet, so the vet could treat it and then send the husky off to the shelter. Well, the husky turned out to be a wolf. So, that is our Ukrainian women for you, catching wolves in the fields with their bare hands.